Hello everyone, my name is Raj Subramaier and today we're going to talk about a really important topic which is relevant to the current circumstances we are living in right now. The topic is diversity and inclusion. A lot of people have been affected by different things which have happened and happening in the past 3-4 weeks, and it has affected people directly and indirectly, emotionally and physically. But what I could do with this video was to talk about diversity and inclusion in our work environment, how to make sure we build a place where everyone can coexist and be super productive and creative and safe. Since I do take career coaching, I thought this was something which people can relate to, and people need to realize the different aspects of diversity and inclusion which they need to have in their work environments as well. And also remember, when we talk about this aspect, which is diversity and inclusion, it's not something only people in the leadership roles have to do. It doesn't come only from higher up the ladder, but you, being an individual contributor, could also start making the change within the company as well. And this video is going to show you and talk about different strategies we could start doing right now in your workplace. So let's just get into the video. So the first strategy you need to know is respect and understand cultural differences. This is really, really important, especially in this day and age where we're working with different people from different race, religion, culture, countries, and so on and so forth. And these differences in various things we do, starting from the different words we use. So people in different regions use different words to mean different things. A simple example of this is my real life experience where I was this young college grad, uh, came here to do my master's in software engineering. And in one of the courses, we had an open book exam in the classroom. And then I just stood up and asked people if they have a rubber. Apparently, before you come to any conclusions, I need to clear this out as soon as possible. So apparently, here rubber means something different compared to where I come from. In India, rubber means eraser, right? So the cultural differences starts from even the words you use. That's why it's really important that when you are communicating in your work environments and you hear something weird, instead of immediately making assumptions or reprimanding people for it, ask them a clarifying question in terms of what they actually meant, because that really helps. Second thing is, people have different working styles, especially if you come from Asia, Europe, and other places. We are more used to an hierarchical structure. But in the United States, where I live, it's more a flat structure, usually in companies, and people aren't used to that. So give them an opportunity to adapt to your work culture. And I'm talking about work culture in the context of how things are in the United States, but some of the things which I'm discussing applies to wherever you work at and whichever country you work at. Okay, but the point is, give people time to adapt to your culture. And then different people have different types of body language and tone of voice. Some people raise their voice, some people have a soft voice, some people have expressions like this. It's sometimes it's because they're unclear or just rude, but most of the times it is because that's how their culture is. That's how they're born and brought up in. So don't immediately come to a conclusion when you notice these things. Instead, again, ask clarifying question and why that person reacted in a certain way, and that helps to resolve a lot of issues. Trust me on that. Um, in terms of understanding, read books or articles or online materials to understand about another person's culture. But the easiest thing to do is what I do. I just go straight away to a person and have an open conversation in terms of, hey, tell me about your culture. What are the awesome things happening? What are the things what are the struggles you often go through? And that helps to give you some context on the culture and what other people are going through as well. So remember, the first strategy and tip to keep in mind is respect and understand cultural differences. The second thing is be careful when you have text conversations. So, why is this really important? We live in an age where everything is Slack messages, or text messages, or Facebook messages, and everything is in messages. I think we suddenly forgot how to have human interaction, but now we realize how important it is with COVID-19. But the point here is we have so many text conversations. And when having these text conversations, you need to be really mindful of who your audience is. Because there have been situations where I've seen people using different emojis and stereotyping people during text messages and Slack conversations, especially in a group setting. And it hurts people's emotions. And it's culturally wrong sometimes when you use certain things in when you're texting people. So be mindful of what words you use, what emojis you use, and that is something to think about. The third thing is recruiting. While actively looking for people, try to build a diverse work environment, diverse workforce. The reason I say this is based on being in the industry for 15 years and working with so many different people. Some of my top high performing teams are teams who have people from different cultures, regions, and different mindsets. Because when you involve different kinds of people, you're going to get different ideas. It's like a whole startup incubator of ideas when you actually have so many people from different cultural contexts. So definitely keep that in mind while recruiting. I'm not saying that okay, you have to recruit only for an Asian person or a European person or an African American person, but keep diversity in mind. For example, if you have only one woman in the team among 10 men, then it's about time you hire another woman. And don't tell me that you cannot find a woman who's as qualified as the person you're looking for, because women are super highly qualified. In fact, most of the women I know are a lot smarter than me and 10 other people combined. So always remember while recruiting, make sure diversity is not only in terms of race and culture, but also having equal distribution of men, women, and people who identify themselves with different identities. Have them everyone together, and that's how we build a quality culture. The fourth point is have diversity and inclusion training. So as part of your onboarding process, and periodically, say once in 6 months. But right now with the current things which are going on, I think we need training once a month. But I digress. The point is you need to have regular diversity and inclusion trainings, because people need to know what to say, what not to say, how to act amidst of different kinds of people. Usually, people who have traveled quite a bit have some kind of context and then just ask people if they know about stuff. But if you haven't traveled quite a bit, and if you're used to only one type of culture, one type of living, then these kind of trainings are going to really help out. So diversity and inclusion training is really important. And a couple of things I want to note down, like describe in terms of diversity and inclusion training is you're going to learn even the simplest things, like for example, when I used to go out with people when I newly came to the United States and trying to adapt to the culture, I didn't know that double dipping was a huge fapa. I thought that if you take a French fry, you can dip it in the sauce, have a bite, and dip it in the sauce again. It's a normal thing in Asia, but apparently in the US they frown upon doing that. So even the simplest things like that, I had to learn, and these things were also covered in the diversity and inclusion training, which I have attended multiple times in all my previous companies. And also, you learn things like making sure you give people some space, respect the bubble around them. Because in the United States, if you see, you have certain distance between another person so that they don't get overwhelmed and they feel safe. There's the bubble which you don't want to cross. But in Asia and Europe and many people I work with, it's just part of the culture. They're really so close to you because they're really friendly, but apparently sometimes it gets into the creepy stage as well. So that's why diversity and inclusion training is really important. So that's the fourth thing to remember. The fifth thing is have open conversations. So when I was leading teams of one time I was leading a team of 50 people. I used to have potlucks every 2 to 3 months, and what I used to ask people to do is bring foods which are directly related to their culture. There's no buying food stuff. You need to make sure you make food and bring it to the potluck. And what that helps to do is it opens up conversations about culture, letting other people to get to know about your food and the culture. And then I open up the room to have different conversations regarding what is the craziest thing you've noticed in terms of culture when you came to the United States, or what is the craziest thing you observed when you went to Germany for that 6 month internship. So you start as a leader opening up conversations, and this really helps to gel the team together and respect the diversity and the inclusion and the cultural context as well. So that's something to keep in mind. The sixth thing is celebrate holidays. If you have people from different countries, make sure, if you're a leader, if you're managing teams, make sure on a calendar, note down different holidays representing, related to people who are directly reporting to you, and celebrate them along with the team. That's how you start bringing in that culture context, and that's how you build team morale and bring unity within the team. So keep that in mind. And the last two things I want to talk about was, one is marketing materials. So when you work in companies, you have all these fancy products which you want to market, but the problem is a lot of people forget the cultural context in marketing materials they use. So for example, say your product is about trying to help people from different countries communicate together. You cannot have flyers with only white people on it. You need to have flyers representing, like, having people from different cultures, different colors, right? That shows that, okay, you're connecting people all over the world, right? So that is a simple example. And one more thing I wanted to talk about was even the copy in the marketing material. So you need to make sure you don't use words which could affect the sentiments of people from different cultures and race. That is something, especially in marketing materials or anything which is publicly facing, you need to double check that shit doesn't go down when you actually have these marketing materials to the public. And then finally, want to talk about accepting your mistakes when you're wrong. I'm a person of color, but I myself have committed a lot of mistakes from a cultural standpoint, because I know only a couple of cultures who I represent and who, but I don't know everything about every culture. So the best thing you can do in those situations when you mess up is to accept your mistake, ask for forgiveness, learn about why that's a mistake, and make sure you don't do that in the future. And then move on. Committing mistakes is part of life. But the problem happens is when people start defending themselves. In fact, as we see in social media now, there are a lot of social influencers who had millions of followers, and then they're keeping shut right now when whole when all our friends are getting affected on a daily basis in the past 3 4 weeks, right? Where, why are they not showing up right now when people need to hear what they think and how they could support the cause, right? And what happens is there are also some social influencers who who say things on social media totally not appropriate during these times, and they start defending themselves, and that's when shit goes down and people, yeah, start hating you. So the best thing is when you commit a mistake, accept it, move on, learn from that experience, and try not to commit it again. So the reason why I wanted to talk about all these things is I feel people fail to think about these aspects which affect people uh, in a really detrimental way. And I'm hoping my message could help people realize that the power to make a change is within you. You don't have to look for resources, it's within you. You can make the change inside your company right now and provide a safe space for other people to work and provide an inclusive space um, for people from different race, religion, culture to coexist and be happy. So I have more videos, of course, coming up like this. My mission is to impact people, and hopefully this video does the same to you. Thanks for listening and really appreciate it.